Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
How
Prabhuji,
everyone?
Pranam, all Guru Shri
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna to everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Sushma
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Prabhu.
Nana Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nandimukhi, Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Nana Mataji, how are you?
Good Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. How are you?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji,
Hare Krishna, Poonam Mataji, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Madhu Mataji, how are you?
Good, thanks.
How's the temperature in Vancouver now?
Yeah,
It's
that's
okay today.
Huh?
It's okay today. Today it is okay. Around 20.
20?
Yes. Yeah.
That's
It's cold, a
quite-
little bit cold.
That's nice.
Amazing. Sometime hot, sometime cold. Changes so much.
Just like people, sometimes hot, sometimes cold.
so nice example, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mother.
Mataji, not today, always is very nice example.
Yeah.
What's that?
Not today, always is very, very nice example.
Our Prabhuji is like that.
Oh, please, thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to put the Pranami mantra on. And if I can have a volunteer.
I can do it with Ashri.
Okay, wonderful.
Can I?
Give me a second, I'll share it.
Okay, Poonam Mataji, you can go ahead. It's okay if you want.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much.
No problem. It's
You guys are the best.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Namaya.
Mataji, you want to
Namayam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschataya Deshutarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadiga Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpataru bhaya cha kripa sindhu bhaya ivacha pratitanam pamne bhayo vaishno bhayo namo namah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Give the opportunity. And thank you, Nandi Mukhi Mataji.
Absolutely. So, Ashok Krishna Prabhu, you ready with your duties?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I see Mahajan Prabhu has joined us.
Krishna Prabhu.
Gautam Prabhu is there. Sneha is there.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, all of you.
Hare Krishna
Venkat
Prabhu.
will join as well.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Lata Mataji is there. Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay. Any questions from last week? If not, then we'll proceed with this week. And so today we're going to read chapter 9. It says Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. So now you may recall before we started.
So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, sorry, before we start, can you make me co-host?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I did. Sorry. 1 second.
Okay, thank you,
You
Prabhu.
have it?
Yes, now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. So you may recall that before we started the Srimad Bhagavatam, we had 4 weeks of different pastimes of Lord Krishna. This is almost exactly 6 months ago. And one of the pastimes we did was Damodar Lila. So I'm not going to get into a lot of details of Damodar Lila, just the salient points, which makes it less fun, but we'll cover it. Okay, so let's get it started. Okay, so this is, as you may know already, Damodar Lila happened one day after Diwali. And you may recall from just a couple of weeks ago, oh no, sorry, that was a different class. So one day after Diwali traditionally was reserved for Indra Puja. That's also the day when the whole Govardhan Puja pastime starts. But this is not about that. Krishna is much younger at this time. He's at 2.5, 3 years old. But anyway, it was time for Indra Puja. So, what was I saying? People were busy doing that, and Mother Yashoda had given the servants time off, and Mother Rohini, Lord Balram, Nanda Maharaj, they had been invited to their older brother's house. As you may know, Nanda Maharaj was 5 brothers. Does anybody by any chance know their names?
सुनंद उपनंद
Upanand, yeah?
यस ये बड़े थे उनसे
हाँ, Upanand बड़े थे, हाँ.
या और सुनंद
हाँ, Sanand, yeah.
और याद नहीं
Okay, anybody else? Abhinand and Nandan. So there were 5 brothers. So Upanand was the oldest. Nanda Maharaj was the second oldest. So older brother had invited this, but Yashoda Maya said, no, I have other work to do. I'm not coming. So she stayed home. And there was a lot of work to do. Obviously, there was a festival coming up. So Mother Yashoda decided to help out by churning butter. And so she sat down and as you can imagine, sat on some kind of a elevated seat with a big pot in front of her, the stirrer in front of her, and there she was churning it. And from time to time, she would look at Krishna, who was sleeping in the next room, and the door was half open, so she could see that he was still asleep. So she was happy that he's sleeping and she can get her work done. But there was one, maybe custom is not the right word, but everyone in Vrindavan, regardless of what they were doing one thing with it, which was chanting the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Whether they were milking the cows, whether they were cooking, whether they were sitting, massaging their mother-in-law's feet, or it didn't matter what they were doing. Didn't matter what they do. They would be doing that work and chanting Krishna's pastimes. And everyone had their own version, in the sense of they had made their own poetry, their poems. So pastimes, of course, were the same, but the way they expressed it was different. So Mother Yashoda also had done the same thing. She had her own poem she had written to describe the pastimes for Krishna. So as she was churning the butter, she was singing all about the pastimes. And some of the things she was saying that oh, we are so fortunate that Krishna, you have taken birth in our family, taken birth in this town, you're giving everybody so much pleasure. What a great job you did in killing Putana when you were only 6 days old. You killed Shaktasu when you were only 3 months old, and Lord Narayan saved you from Trinavarth. She was just going on and on. And she starts talking about his ankle bells. When you walk, they make such a wonderful sound. Even when you crawl, they make such a great sound. You're such a good dancer. We love watching you dance. And, we love watching you hang on to the tail of the calves. As they run, you're being dragged by them through the cow dung and cow urine, all those kind of things. She was just going on and on and on. And she said, I really love it when you start arguing with my friends, the older ladies of the village, and I know I'm your mother, but I just beg the Lord, and I beg you even, that please continue to give me more and more pleasure for the rest of my life, or if not eternally, and you love playing and we love watching you play. I hope you grow up fast so you can start doing other things. And then she remembered that he actually showed her the universal form. And she said, yeah, so you showed me the universal form when I was checking your mouth, not believing you when you said you did not eat soil. So, just going on and on. Well, there's one quality of Krishna. When he hears a devotee chanting his name with great amount of love, he shows up. So, Lord Krishna decided to wake up. And from his bed, he could see that Mother Yashoda was churning butter. So he got up and started walking towards his mother. And he started to cry also. I was saying, Ma, Ma, Maya, Maya. Basically saying, why did you leave me in the bed alone? Anyway, when Mother Yashoda saw him, she looked at him. She also started talking like a baby. Often we see in real life that the elders, when they talk to the little babies, they become little babies and they start talking like them. So she was saying, "Alle mila beta, kitna acha hai, alle kitna acha lag raha hai. Oh, my dear son, you're looking so nice," and on and on like that. But Lord Krishna was not amused. He wanted milk and he wanted his mother's full attention. So he grabbed the churning rod, excuse me, with one hand and just looked at his mother as if he was saying, Mother, time to feed me. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to digress a little bit. Has anybody been to Udupi in India? No one?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes. Oh, great. So that picture, the deity, I'm sorry, in Udupi is Krishna holding the churning rod, telling his mother to stop churning and pay attention to him. And he has a rope on his side and is holding the churning rod. Remember?
We are from Udupi actually. Yeah.
Oh, you are from Udupi. Hari
Yeah.
bol. You're so fortunate, Prabhu. Yeah, we had an opportunity to go there, I don't know, about 5 years ago. We didn't want to leave, to be honest with you. We did not want to leave that place. So beautiful. Every morning, early in the morning, we'll show up for Mangal Aarti. 3.5 hours of Abhishek. Just unbelievable. You're lucky, Prabhu. Very lucky. Hari bol. Okay, so Mother Yashoda, when she saw that, she picked him up, put him on her lap, and he started to breastfeed him. Now, something very interesting was happening. The milk was coming out of her like torrential rain. And Lord Krishna was drinking it all at the same speed. But Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, had control of all controllers. He could not keep up with the milk, or I should say the flow of milk. It was coming so much that it was actually dripping out of the corners of Krishna's mouth. This was the most beautiful transcendental competition between a devotee and the Lord. The Lord wants milk and the devotee says, okay, here it is. Let me see if you can finish it. If you can take it all. And the Lord is saying, Mom, my devotee, you're winning. I think there's lots of it coming out of the corners of my mouth. So, I mean, Krishna can lift the finger, lift the mountain, Govardhan hill on his finger, but he can't keep up with the outpouring of love from his devotee. So, once again, the devotee was winning against the Lord. Anyway, Krishna had hardly started drinking the milk when Mother Yashoda noticed that the milk on the stove in the kitchen, which was not very far from where she was about to boil over. And if she didn't run to take the pot off the stove, it'll all spill out. And she did not want to run to the kitchen with Krishna in her lap because she thought she might drop him. So she asked Krishna to get off her lap just for a minute so she can go and remove the pot from the stove, and she'll come back and start feeding him. Well, do not interrupt Krishna when he's having so much fun. He was loving the taste of his devotees' love in the form of the milk. So much so that he did not wish to be interrupted and refused to move. Mother Yashoda asked him lovingly a few more times, Beta, please, get off. Let me get the milk and I'll come back. But he wouldn't budge. No, my turn. Only pay attention only to me, nobody else. So she got a little upset. She picked him up by force and put him down on the ground. And she got up and she told him to stay put for a minute, and she ran towards the stove. And before she actually started running, she told him to take care of the churning pot so it does not tumble down. In Gopal Champu, actually, it's not in Bhagavatam, but Gopal Champu, Jiva Goswami describes that there was so much milk coming out of her that not just her blouse, not just her dress, but the ground was muddy because of the milk falling on the floor from her body. Anyway, so she kept running and went to the kitchen, leaving Krishna behind. Well, Krishna did not like that. He said, what's going on here? He got really mad. And he said, when I want it, I'm not getting my mother's milk. So, as a protest, first he did what kids do. He started crying. And in anger, he's biting his lips. Then he did the next thing that the kids do. He picked up a stone and threw it on the pot that was containing all that yogurt that was being churned. So it was a clay pot, so it broke. And all the yogurt is spilled out on the floor. When Krishna saw that, he actually got scared. So being scared, he ran to his room where he was sleeping. But on the way, he actually saw a pot of butter hanging from the ceiling in an adjoining room. So first he went there, picked up the pot, and then ran back to his room, sat on the window, started enjoying the butter. And because he was on the window, the monkeys saw him, so they came running. And there he was, eating it himself and feeding it to the monkeys. Well, Mother Yashoda came back. She saw the broken pot. And she saw the yogurt spilled all over, but no Krishna. So now she's thinking, what happened? Where is Krishna? And then she saw these tiny little steps going towards his room. So she said, aha, I know what's going on. So she followed the footsteps to Krishna's room and pushed open the door. He put the chain on there, but there was still enough crack to see what's happening inside. And she could see Krishna sitting on the window with a pot of butter in his hands, and eating it himself and feeding to the monkeys. Well, opening the door made some sound. Krishna saw that his mother is peeking from outside. So he took off. He jumped from the window with the pot. Monkeys were chasing him. He went out to the courtyard, and there was a mortar, upside down mortar there. He sat on it, and the monkeys were still with him. Started feeding the monkeys. Well, Mother Yashoda, for whatever reason, had had enough. So she decided to catch him. And as they say, let him have it. So she picked up a stick. Oh, I forget which book, but in another book, it's described that a crow came exactly at that time, expecting to be, said hello to and, given something to eat. But when he saw Mother Yashoda picking the stick and looking really angry, he got so scared, he flew away, so scared of her. Anyway, so she came outside the house and quietly started running towards Krishna. Well, Krishna was expecting that his mother will come. So as he was feeding the monkeys and eating butter himself, he was looking this way and that way to see if mother is coming. And as soon as he saw, first the monkeys saw. As soon as the monkeys saw the Mother Yashoda coming, they took off. And when Krishna said, hey, what happened? Why are they running? Then, of course, he looked again, and there was Mother Yashoda running towards him. So he got up and he took off as well. Now Mother Yashoda was chasing him. It's described in Gopal Champu that the flowers in her hair, they were falling to the ground because she was running so hard. But the significance is that the flowers were offering their obeisances to Mother Yashoda for, in their opinion, she was so glorious that she could actually chase and grab the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not just chase and grab, actually chastise Supreme Personality of Godhead. They were offering their obeisances to her. Anyway, Krishna ran fast. Mother Yashoda ran faster. You all know the, what's it called? Damodar Ashtakam. So it talks about how Mother Yashoda is running faster than Krishna. So she was running faster than him, but still she couldn't catch him. Now, you know that she was kind of middle-aged and a little heavy-set. So very soon she started to get tired. And now she was sweating, she was getting out of breath, but she wasn't going to give up. She was determined today to teach Krishna a lesson. Now, Krishna is very smart. He figured something out very quickly. He said, my mother Yashoda never goes outside the courtyard unless there's some serious business and she's dressed properly. There's no serious business and she's not dressed properly to go out, so she will not come out of the boundary of the house. So he made a dash towards the gate of the boundary of the building. But Mother Yashoda was so upset, so angry today, she said, I don't care where you're going, I'm coming after you. So she did not give up, she kept running after him. And still, like she was still a few inches behind him, not being able to catch him. But Krishna was starting to realize that my mother is, panting very heavily and getting very tired, she's sweating. So a little bit out of concern, a little bit out of actual fear of his mother, he looked back. And as soon as he looked back, she grabbed him. So now Krishna is caught. Krishna says, now I'm going to get it. So he starts to cry. So much so that, as you know from Damodar Ashtakam, his body was actually trembling in fear. He was breathing heavily, not from fatigue, but genuine fear. So much so that Damodar Ashtakam says he had terror in his eyes. Mother Yashoda grabbed him, looked at his face, it's completely covered with butter. And she asked him, Krishna, why did you steal butter? And Krishna turned his face this way, like away from her. I said, no, I didn't. So she turned his face back towards her and asked the same question again. Why did you steal butter? And he turned his face away again and said, no, I didn't. And then he kept looking at the stick that Mother Yashoda was holding. And the terror in his eyes actually increased even more. And he started to sob uncontrollably. And he wasn't faking it out. It's described very clearly. He was not faking any of this. The fear and the act of being scared was genuine. Under the influence of Yoga Maya, but still it was genuine. And he said, and I'm going to say this in Hindi, in actually Avadhi, not Avadhi, Braj Bhasha, just for the effect, but I'll translate this. He said, Maya, mohe maro nahi. He says, Mother, please don't hit me. When she heard that, her heart just melted and she threw away the stick. And she said, you're a thief. No, you're actually a king of the thieves. And Krishna said, what are you talking about? Actually, everybody in your family is a thief. Now Krishna is answering back because the stick is gone. So Mother Yashoda asks a different question. Krishna, tell me, how did the pot of yogurt break if you didn't break it? And Krishna said, Mother, it's simple. The Supreme Personality of Godhead broke the pot. Notice, he wasn't lying. Then she said, okay, who was feeding butter to the monkeys? And he said, Mother, the one who created the monkeys was feeding them. I mean, at this point, Mother Yashoda was starting to laugh like the silliness of the whole situation. She was laughing her heart out, but she still felt the anger. So she said, okay, Krishna, enough jokes. Give me a straight answer. One simple question, answer it for me. How did the pot break? And Krishna made a very innocent face. And with a straight face, he said, you know, Maya, when you dropped me on the floor and you started running towards the kitchen very fast, you accidentally kicked the pot and it broke. So Maya, why is it my fault? And you know, these monkeys, they went into the house, they picked up the butter, they brought it outside. So Maya, please tell me, how is that my fault? I was simply running out because I saw a stick in your hand and I got scared. And Maya, look at yourself. You're so cruel. You're so cruel. You want to hit your baby with a stick? How can you do that, Maya? Then Mother Yashoda said, Krishna, you are the son of the king of Braja, but you have developed the nature of the monkeys in their company. You become a monkey yourself. So now Krishna had an opportunity. He decided to scare Mother Yashoda. And he said, Maya, you're right. I have become a monkey. And now I will also live in the forest with the monkeys. I will not live in this house. Oh, magic words. Mother Yashoda got scared. And she started to think that, you know, this boy, he can do anything. He might actually run away. So I better tie him up until he's no longer angry, or maybe he's hungry or something, then he'll forget. So thinking like that, she said to Krishna, you are a thief. You're not listening to me. Therefore, I'm going to bind you to this mortar, and then I'll see how you steal ever again. Now, actually, this made Krishna very angry. And he started to cry even louder. He started shouting, oh, Mother Rohini, where have you gone? Oh, my dear Balaram, my Bhaiya, my brother, where have you gone? Look, Maya is trying to tie me up to this mortar, and none of you is here to protect me. Well, as I said before, neither Lord Balaram nor Mother Rohini nor Nanda Maharaj were in the house. They were at his brother's house. So obviously nobody heard. But some other gopis in the neighboring houses, they heard. So they come running to see what's going on. So now imagine this scene. This Mother Yashoda holding Krishna by hand. She's kind of squatting, he's standing. These friends of Yashoda, I guess, they have come over, they're watching what's going on. Now, some of these gopis had actually come another day to complain, and I'm not going to get into that whole pastime, but Mother Yashoda was, they were complaining that Krishna is stealing butter from their house. But then Mother Yashoda did not want to hear any of that, so she sent them away, saying, bring some proof. There's a whole other pastime with that. Anyway, so they were kind of burning inside, mock anger with Yashoda Maiya that she would not believe them. So now they started laughing at Mother Yashoda, and they said, oh, looks like today he stole butter from your house. Now you would believe it. When he stole from my house, you wouldn't believe us. Huh? Mother Yashoda was so frustrated already. She decided to ignore their taunts. She took out a ribbon from her hair. She tied one end to the mortar, and the other end she tried to tie to his waist. But as you know, the famous story, I'm not going into a lot of details. It was 2 inches too short. So she brought some more ropes, and same thing, 2 inches too short. So the gopis, they went to their houses, and they brought all their ropes that they were using for their calves and threw it all near Mother Yashoda. Please be my guest, use these ropes. And one after the other, Mother Yashoda used them all. There were hundreds of them. But no matter how many ropes she tied together, it was still 2 inches too short. Now, you all know what the 2 inches represent. Just somebody answer it for me. What do the...
One is for the mercy and one is your endeavor.
Yes.
Yeah.
So without your endeavor and without the mercy of Krishna or Krishna's devotees, you cannot catch Krishna. So that's what this 2 inches short represents. So no matter how hard she was trying, Krishna didn't want to be tied, so she couldn't do it. Now Mother Yashoda, can imagine her reaction. She was getting more and more frustrated and surprised that what's going on. So she started talking to herself like, there's some magic going on. My son is so innocent. What does he know? Somebody's doing it. And then she started accusing the gopis. No, it's you guys doing some kind of black magic because of which I cannot tie my own son because I didn't believe you. And they were saying, no, Mother, we're not doing any magic. We don't do any magic. We don't understand either what's going on. So Mother Yashoda kept trying more and more ropes, but nothing was working. Now she was sweating. She was getting really frustrated. And in her frustration, she started crying. She was also crying out of embarrassment because all the gopis were watching, and they were taunting her. So she started crying. Well, as they say, and I hope it's not offensive, as they said, women's tears really work on the husbands, but they also work on the sons. So it worked on the son Krishna, who could not see his mother crying like that. And he said, he agreed to be bound by the very first ribbon that came from her hair. All the rest of the ropes were basically now lying there useless. So finally, Mother Yashoda tied him up, one end to the mortar, other end to Krishna, and she told him to stay put, don't go anywhere. And she went inside, and after a little while, the gopis also left to get their work done. In the meantime, having heard Krishna's cries, his cowherd friends had all gathered. They were too scared to do anything, so they were standing behind. But when all the gopis left and Mother Yashoda left, they all came. And actually, Mother Yashoda came out and she said to the boys, you watch Krishna. Don't let him run away again. Just make sure he stays tied to this mortar. And she went back inside. Well, when the coast was clear, now Krishna started smiling, and he told his friends who had gathered around him for each one of them to go to the houses of the gopis who had gathered here, making fun of his mother, and they were giving ropes for him to be tied. He said, go to their houses, steal butter from the house because they're not home, and come back here, we'll have a butter party. So they were too happy to do that. They rushed back to the houses of these gopis, brought back as many pots as they could, and there was big, big party, butter party. So that's the end of this particular pastime. Before I go to the next pastime, which is the deliverance of the two trees, I'm going to pause and see if there are any comments or questions. No? Okay, all right. I mean, this pastime everybody has heard so many times. Okay, so you know the story of Yamalarjun trees, the two sons of Kuber, Nalkuvar and Manigriv. And actually, you know, Kuber, as you know, is the treasurer of the demigod, so it's a very high position. And so the family of somebody in high position always has these privileges. So one of the privileges these two boys had was that they were able to associate with Lord Shiva directly. And they became very proud that, hey, you know, Shiva is our buddy, you know. So they were allowed to, you know, wander in the garden that was in the Kailash hill, the Mount Kailash, where Lord Shiva lives, on the banks of the river Mandakini. And they'll go there and they'll get drunk on Varuni, the liquor, and they'll wander in the garden, you know, sometimes without any clothes on. There'll be other women with them without any clothes on. They'll be playing sports, bathing in the river, and all this kind of nonsense. So one day they were doing that. And suddenly Narad Muni passed by. So all the girls, they recognized Narad Muni and they were embarrassed and they put their saris back on. But these two guys were so drunk out of their mind and again being puffed up, they didn't care it's Narad Muni and they was kind of looking at him, smiling at him, not doing anything. Narad Muni saw that and he said, you guys are not even ashamed of being naked in front of a sannyasi. So it's time to show you my mercy. But Narad Muni sometimes has an interesting way of showing his mercy. So he cursed them. He said, I curse you two to become trees. You have a consciousness which is so dull that it can be compared with the consciousness of the trees. So you go become trees. So obviously, suddenly that sobered them up. Nothing like a curse. Who needs a cup of coffee to remove your hangover? You know, a curse works magic. So as soon as they were cursed, they came to their senses. They fell at the feet of Narad Muni, apologized, and he said, that's okay. There's a reason why I gave you this curse. Now I want you to be able to see Krishna face to face. But you're going to have to wait a very long time, like 100 years of demigods, which is something like 3.6 million years, something like that. 3.6 million earth years. Anyway, so they became trees. But as per the desire of Narad Muni, they became trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. So now they were able to see, after Krishna appeared obviously, see all the pastimes of Krishna. So Krishna, of course, as he says, that Sarvasa Chaham Hridi Sannivishto, he's Antaryami. He knows everything. So he also knew this curse by Narad Muni and he wanted to honor that. So he remembered that. So then he started crawling towards these two trees. But he was being very smart. He didn't want his friends to start making noises because Mother Yashoda had said, don't let him go anywhere. So he would play, he'll make jokes, and as they start laughing, he'll move a few feet. And this way he crawled all the way to the trees. He actually went past them, but by his desire, the mortar got stuck between the two trees. And to get the mortar out, he yanked at the ribbon that he was tied with, and simply yanking at that ribbon uprooted the trees. They were literally 3.6 million years old, so you can imagine how the size of them. Uprooted them completely. They fell with great, great thundering sound. But Nalkuvar and Munigre were delivered, so they came out of the trees in their heavenly bodies. They offered Krishna their obeisances and prayers. And they had the opportunity, as per the mercy of Narad Muni, to see Lord Krishna face to face. And that's when they actually appreciated how merciful Narad Muni was. And they actually, in their prayer to Krishna, they expressed their indebtedness to Narad Muni and thanked Narad Muni. And they ended their prayers. This is very interesting. This is what I want to say. They ended their prayers very nicely. And they said, just like you may recall from the pastime of Ambrish Maharaj, they said, my dear Lord, from now on, may all our words describe nothing but your pastimes. May our ears engage only in hearing your pastimes and your glories. May our hands and legs and other senses engage only in your service. And may all our actions be pleasing to you. May our mind always think of your lotus feet. May our head always be offering obeisances unto you. And may our eyes see the forms of your devotees who are non-different from you and you. Nothing else. Krishna was very pleased with their attitude and with their prayers. So Krishna blessed them. And he said, now you may return home. But because you desire to be always absorbed in my devotional service, your desire to develop love and affection for me will be fulfilled. And you will never fall from that platform. Upon hearing that, the two demigods, Nalkuvar and Manigriv, circumambulated the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and they departed for their respective abodes. Now, does anybody know where they ended up? Yeah, so my wife is answering that question. She's saying that they actually were given a place in Golok Vrindavan. And they were given a wonderful job. Every evening, there will be an assembly of the whole family, Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maiya, Radharani, all the Sakhis, all the residents of Vrindavan, they'll get in one place. And these two boys will chant all the pastimes that Krishna had every day, every evening. So imagine having a job like that. And Krishna would be there too. He would be listening. Balaram would be there too, listening. Everybody was there, and these two boys would be chanting those. And that's how actually the whole Gopal Champu is their narrations of Krishna's pastimes. Okay. So, any other comments or questions? Anyone? Okay, then I'll move to the next chapter, which is the childhood pastimes of Krishna. Now, actually, before I get there, let me finish this, the second half of this pastime of the delivery of Nalkuvar and Manigriv. So, as I was saying, there's a huge sound made. It's like thunderbolts coming down. So Nanda Maharaj was returning from some place with his friends and entourage. They heard the sound, so they ran towards where the sound was coming from. And they got to the spot where they saw the two big old trees fallen down. And there was Krishna standing between the two trees. And he's bound to this mortar. They couldn't understand what's going on. Like, who would put Krishna in between these two trees? And then what demon came that fell these trees, probably with the intention of making them fall on Krishna? So what's going on? So they saw these friends standing there, friends of Krishna that is, and they asked them, hey, what happened? Tell us what happened. So the children, dutifully and properly described that Krishna crawled over, he yanked at this, and the trees fell, and two great effulgent-looking personalities came out. They said something to Krishna, we can't tell, but then they offered their obeisances, went around him a few times, and disappeared. That's all that happened. Well, as usual, some people believed it, and others said, "What nonsense! No, this is not making any sense." So anyway, so Nanda Maharaj untied him, picked him up, and uh, left to go to his office, basically. And his day was going on. But Lord Balaram also witnessed this thing, and he got actually very angry. He got very angry, and he was running to Mother Yashoda, and he was almost literally shouting, which was he never did that before. But today he was so angry. He was literally yelling at his mother Yashoda and saying, "Why did you do that? Anything could have happened. Why would you do that? I mean, you have to punish him, do something else. What's the big deal about stealing butter? We got so much butter." I mean, all the things that Yashoda Maya would say. So Mother Yashoda got angry at him, like watching him talk like that. So she started yelling at him. And she said, "What is it to you? My son, I do whatever I want. Who are you? Tell me what to do, what can I do?" So Lord Balaram said, "Maya, you don't know who Krishna is. Don't you know who Krishna is?" And she said, "No, I don't know. You tell me. All I know is he's my Lalla." He said, "No, no, mother. He is Bhagwan, his supreme personality of Godhead." That made Mother Yashoda even more angry. And she said, "Yeah? And who are you?" Lord Balaram was not expecting that question. She said, "I'm Bhagwan too. I'm also Supreme Personality of Godhead." And so I'm going to say what Mother Yashoda said in Hindi and I'll translate it in English. She said, "सब भगवानों को यहीं पैदा होना था, भागो यहाँ से, नहीं तुम्हारी पिटाई करने को कोई बांध देंगे." And Lord Balaram actually ran away. So basically she said, "All the gods had to appear in my house. If you don't get out of here soon, I'm going to tie you up also. So get out." And Lord Balaram actually got scared and he ran away. Anyway, excuse me. So that was going on. But from that point on, Krishna started displaying all his wonderful childhood pastimes. And basically, he was just like the whole purpose of Krishna's appearance in the material world is that he can give pleasure to his devotees in whatever mellow they are in, parents, friends, conjugal, whatever. He just wants to give pleasure to his devotees and receive pleasure from them. Because devotees only want to give pleasure to Krishna. Krishna only wants to give pleasure to the devotees. And that's the transcendental relationship, competition, or whatever you want to call it. And that's the sole purpose, the real purpose of Krishna's appearance. So that's what he started doing. Every day, there'll be some kind of a wonderful pastime that'll give so much pleasure, not just to Yashoda Maiya and Nanda Maharaj, but all the residents of Vrindavan, as I said, whatever mellow they were in. So I'm going to share a few of these pastimes that are described in this chapter and try and be loyal to the chapter itself. So I won't steer too far away from what's described in Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyway, so one example that I really love is the gopis will tell Krishna to dance. And this is what they will say: "Krishna, if you dance, I'll give you a sweet dish, a rasagulla, a sandesh, a laddu." Or sometimes they'll say, "Here's a bowl of buttermilk, chash they call it. I'll give it to you, this bowl of buttermilk, if you dance." And sometimes Krishna would say, "But I'm tired." And they would say, "No dancing, no buttermilk." And he will dance. Sometimes they'll start clapping their hands and Krishna will dance to the tune to which they were clapping. This is Supreme Personality of God, the controller of all controllers, being controlled so completely by his pure devotees that he was dancing to their tune. All the scriptures, they say, we are the puppets in Krishna's hands. We dance to his tune. Even Srila Prabhupada, when he arrived in Boston in 1965, he wrote this poem. He said, Krishna, I don't know what is the purpose for which you have brought me, but if you want me to dance, I'm okay with that. So you make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. So that's the sentiment of a devotee, and that's the sentiment of Krishna also. He's saying, yes, my dear pure devotees, make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. So the Supreme Controller is dancing to the tune of his pure devotees. Sometimes they'll say, Krishna, sing, sing loud, and he'll oblige. It was completely under their control. There's a very famous devotee. Actually, he was a Muslim. His name was Ras Khan. He wrote some wonderful poems glorifying Lord Krishna. So he wrote one poem that I'm sorry, since it's in Hindi. So if I'll try to translate it, I'll lose everything in the translation. But it's a beautiful poem, so I just want to share it with you. It's just one stanza. There's many stanzas in this poem. So it says, Ses Ganesh Mahesh Dinesh Suresh Jahi Nirantar Gavai Jahi Anadi Ananta Akhand Ached Abhed Subed Batavai Narad Se Sukh Vyas Rate Pachihare Tau Puni Par Na Pave Tahi Ahir Ki Chohariya Chachiya Bhar Chach Pe Nach Nachave Tahi Ahir Ki Chohariya Chachiya Bhar Chach Pe Nach Nachave. Which means that Lord Anantadev, Lord Ganesh, Lord Shiva, the sun god, all the demigods, they're constantly glorifying Lord Krishna. The Vedas describe him as Anadi, which means no beginning. Ananta, no end. No limits, unlimited. Akhand, cannot be divided. Ached, Abhed, which basically means we cannot distinguish him. All the Vedas are glorifying him like that. Even Narad Muni, Shukadev, Vyasdev, they're all trying very hard to understand Krishna, but they cannot understand Krishna. Forget about controlling him. That Krishna is being controlled by these uneducated, poor daughters or wives are poor cowherd boys or cowherd men. They are making him dance. For what? Just a small bowl of buttermilk. That's the relationship that this poet Ras Khan is describing. Glorifying Krishna, how he comes under the control of pure devotees, but nobody else. Vedeshu durlabham adurlabham atubhakta. As Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says, by studying the Vedas, you cannot get him or understand him. But by pure devotion service, you can get him very easily. Tasyaham sulabha partha. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8:15 that I'm easily available to the one who is constantly thinking of me every day. Sometimes Mother Yashoda or even her Gopi friends or Nanda Maharaj will tell Krishna, Krishna, go and bring this item or that item or that item. And he'll go and bring it. Sometimes they'll say, bring this wooden plank, bring this wooden pot, and he'll go and get it. Sometimes Nanda Maharaj will bring my sandals, so he'll go and bring his sandals. Sometimes he will pretend that the item you are asking me to bring is so heavy, he can't raise it. So it'll look like he's trying very hard to lift. Remember, we are talking about the same Krishna who will lift the mountain, the whole mountain. He's being asked to lift maybe a pot or a plank of wood, and he's saying, I can't lift it. And he stand there, looking frustrated with hands on his, on his waist, saying, I can't lift it. And they will laugh at him. Sometimes he'll go like this, like the wrestlers do. I'm strong. I can do anything. I can lift anything. And then not be able to lift it. Just, again, to give pleasure to all these people, his pure devotees. The next pastime Srimad Bhagavatam talks about is the fruit vendor. Again, one of my very favorite pastimes. And there I am going to steer away a little bit from Srimad Bhagavatam, because Bhagavatam has only a few lines describing this pastime, but I think it's a beautiful pastime. So from Gopal Champu, I've taken and I would describe that. So one day this fruit vendor was very, very poor. She came to Vrindavan and she was, like a hawker. She was saying, take apples, take oranges, take bananas, buy it. And she was going like that. And Krishna came out of his house, very young Krishna, maybe 3 years old at that time. And he said, Maya, can you give me these fruits? She looked at him, and of course, right away, her heart melted. She was willing to give him anything. But she said, do you have anything to pay me with? But remember, there was no money those days. There's all barter system. So she said, do you have anything to pay me with? He said, yeah, I'll go inside and bring some grains. So she sat down, waited for Krishna. He went in, put his hand in a pot and brought a palm full of grains. As he was walking to this fruit vendor, he was dropping all these grains on the ground. By the time he reached her, there were maybe 5 or 6 grains left. And he poured them on the basket. He said, this is what I got. Well, he has literally stolen her heart. So she said, it doesn't matter. Take as much. She started to put all the fruits in his tiny little hands, as much as they could fit. And Krishna was very happy and he returned to his house. Of course, he was dropping fruits also as he was going. And she picked up her basket. Very poor, probably had not eaten for a few days, didn't care. So just so happy. She put the basket back on her head, started going home, walking on the banks of the river Yamuna. As she was walking, her basket kept getting heavier and heavier and heavier, but she had no understanding, no realization of that. She was just constantly crying, looking at the face of Krishna in her mind and just feeling so happy. Oh, I forgot one thing. She also asked Krishna. She put him on her lap before she gave the fruits. I said, can you call me Maya just once? And he looked at her. He smiled and called her Maya. Only can imagine the reaction of this devotee. Then Krishna left and she was just remembering how Krishna had called her Maya. With great degree of love in her heart, tears coming out like anything, her mind totally focused on Krishna and his beauty and that feeling that she had. She got home. She took the basket down, opened it. It's full of jewels. The diamonds and all sorts of other jewels and gold jewelry and everything, full of it. She, of course, didn't want it. She didn't want any of this. So she basically literally threw it away in the river, Yamuna, and went back to selling the fruits. For whatever reason, I love that story. I think it's one of the most beautiful stories of pastimes of Lord Krishna. Anyway, so moving on. One day, Lord Krishna, Lord Balaram had gone out playing by the river bank after their breakfast. They were still very young. They were not starting to take care of the cows or the calves yet. They just went out to play. And they got busy playing. So this was like way after lunchtime. They'd been playing all morning. They were so busy playing, they forgot about their hunger or anything like that. So Mother Rohini came out and she called them. Said, Krishna and Balaram, please come home now. It's getting late. Lunchtime, come inside. But they were so busy with their games. They were paying no attention. They were probably not even hearing her. No attention to her. She tried a few times. She came back and told Yashoda that, hey, only you can do it. They're not listening to me. So then Yashoda Maya went. She saw them playing. I said, Krishna, my darling, you must be very tired now. And you must also be very hungry because you've been playing so long. Breakfast was hours ago. It's past lunchtime. So there's no need to play anymore. Balaram, Krishna, just come. Please come immediately. Balaram, bring your younger brother Krishna. And you haven't eaten anything since the morning, since the breakfast time. So eat something. And your father, Nanda Maharaj, is actually hungry. He's sitting there waiting for you guys to join him so he can start eating. So please come back. And all you boys playing with Krishna and Balaram, you also go home and have your lunch because your mothers are waiting for you. And then Yashoda also said that, my dear sons, that is Krishna and Balaram, your body is covered with dust and with sand. You've been playing all day. So please, now hurry up, come back, take your bath, cleanse yourself, put nice clothes, nice dress, nice ornaments on, join your father for lunch. He's waiting for you. And after lunch, after some rest, you can come back out again, play with your friends. What's the problem? And then so they actually stopped. So she picked them by hand, one hand on each side. Oh, sorry, Krishna and Balaram on each side, holding with one of her hands. And she brought them home, bathed them, dressed them, put the ornaments on, fed them with Nanda Maharaj. So there's a time to pause because a very different pastime is going to start. So I'm going to pause again and see if there are any questions or comments.
Krishna Prabhuji, just a question.
Go.
So when Rohini mother calls, so they did not come, but Yashoda Maya, goes little. So can you just explain, Prabhuji?
Yeah, sure. Very good question, actually. Yeah. So Bhagavatam actually addresses that. I forgot to mention it. Bhagavatam says, because Yashoda actually loved both of them more than even Rohini did. So they responded. That's the answer given in Bhagavatam, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. Anybody else? Okay. So I know these passages are very familiar to everyone, but they're so beautiful. I wanted to cover them anyway. Okay. Anyway, so almost every day there was some disturbance happening, some demon coming and doing all the nonsense. So one day all the Nanda Maharaj and all the elderly Gopas, got together and they said, look, every day something bad is happening, and Krishna and Balaram's lives are at risk. So, and they start talking about, Putra came, Shaktasur came, Tiramvat came, and others came, and then these 2 trees fell down almost upon Krishna, so maybe we should leave this place, Gokul. Does anybody remember the name of the one that they were living in before? Mahavan, yes, correct. So they were living in Mahavan. They said, let's go to Vrindavan. It's got nice, the river is there, nice forests are there, mountains are there. So we'll go there. And everyone agreed right away. And actually they departed the very next day from Gokul to Vrindavan. And it's described how they all got on bullock carts and walk and all that. And they all came. In Vrindavan, now Krishna started to, both Krishna and Balaram actually, they said,
Can I have one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Prabhuji, is this the Leelas?
I'm sorry?
The Krishna Balaram, but the do's, is this the Leelas, na? Everybody knows, is this the Leela kar rahe the?
Yeah, it's all pastimes. It's all pastimes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand if there's something behind your question or is that it?
Okay.
No, Mother, is that what you want to know, whether it's Leela or something else?
What they do is Krishna and Balaram with the Rohini Mata and all these. This is the Leelas, na?
Yes. Everything they did was Leela.
Yeah. This is the planning or this does the... I can't explain, Prabhu. I have one question in my mind. They do whatever he's not eating and something, and so this is a Leela's pre-planned or like?
I'm having difficulty understanding your question. Yes, it was past time. It's Leela. Everything is Leela.
Prabhuji, I think she's saying how, the director pre-plans everything. Is it
yes,
pre-planned?
yes.
I didn't hear that word.
Yeah.
So
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah.
Most of the, well, actually, all of it is all pre-planned because Krishna knows when something will happen, when he'll do something. So yes, it's
Yeah.
pre-planned by Krishna though. He's
Okay,
not inspiring these people to come, these people do things. So pretty well everything. I mean, there may be some things that's spontaneous, but pretty well everything is pre-planned. Because Krishna is basically directing it.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Sure, you're welcome. Sorry, I took a little while to understand your question. Anyone else? Okay, all right. So now in Vrindavan, both Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna started to play on their flutes. And they would play all sorts of games they would invent. For example, they'll tie a stone to a rope and throw it on a tree to get the fruits from the trees. Or sometimes just throw the stone to get the fruits to fall down. Sometimes they play football. And as you know, both Lord Krishna and Lord Balaram had ankle bells. So it'd be tinkling, as they ran playing football. And they played football with, bale fruit or amalaki fruit, which are both big and round, just like a football. Sometimes Krishna, Balaram, other boys, they'll cover themselves with blankets, and act like cows or bulls and then fight with each other, and they'll roar like a bull, and attack each other, and they'll make sounds of different animals, sometimes a cow, sometimes a bull, sometimes a dog even, sometimes, a hog, different animals, sometimes birds. That was part of the games. They would enjoy these games, just like ordinary human children do. They were enjoying this pastime with each other. One day, the Gopas had thought that they leave Gokul and they'll be safe. But for the demons, it's just another couple of miles. Probably some of these demons were so big, just a few steps to get to the next town, Vrindavan. So very soon, a demon by the name of Vatsasur showed up. He actually took the form of a calf, and he entered among the other calves. And his plan was to slowly steal one calf at a time and hide them in a cave to kill them later on, and also steal boys, Krishna's friends, one at a time, slowly, and then kill them later on. But, Krishna is Krishna. He, as Mataji was saying, it was pre-planned anyway. So he knew he has come. So very slowly he approached the demon. And he was pretending like he's just approaching a normal calf. So not to give the demon any idea that Krishna knows. And he got close and he caught this Vatsasur by his hind legs and the tail, and then twirled him very, very hard. So hard that actually demon gave up his life. And he threw the dead body on top of a tree. The whole tree fell down along with the demon, who by then has assumed a huge, big form, the original form of the demon itself. Of course, the boys were not surprised, but amazed. And they were saying, well done, sadhu, which was very good, very good. Well, but for Krishna and Balaram, it's like, what's the big deal? They killed him and they said, okay, let's sit down for breakfast. And they enjoyed their breakfast and continuing to take care of the calves, and they were wandering here and there and having great time. And then I think when Krishna was 4 years old, he said, now I want to take care of the calves, and I want to be given the responsibility to take them out to the forest. There's a whole story about that, but he was given the permission, so they started going with the calves into the forest. One day, another demon decided to show up as Krishna and his friends went to this pond of water to get the animals to drink, and they wanted to drink it themselves also. So they were doing that, and they noticed this gigantic body. Actually, it wasn't even the whole body they saw. They saw what actually was a beak, but it looked like a peak of a mountain that had been broken down and separated from the mountain. The whole body was so huge. And it scared the boys very much so. So they started to kind of back off. But Krishna saw him, and the demon Bakasur saw him. And immediately Bakasur attacked Krishna with his beak and swallowed him. He actually swallowed Krishna. And Krishna went in and got stuck on the throat of Bakasur, and he made his body so hot that Bakasur was burning from inside. So he disgorged Krishna out. He basically threw him out of his mouth. And then when Krishna came out, he started attacking him with his beak again. So this time, Krishna said, okay, enough. He got hold of his beak, spread it, put his foot on the lower beak, and with his hands, he took the beak and started moving it up and up and up and up until it basically broke from the jaws, and Bakasur was dead. And like for Krishna, it was like nothing, no effort. But to the demigods, it was a big deal. So they were showering flowers, and they were playing their kettle drums and making all sorts of noises. And the girls were dancing in the sky, all these kind of things. And of course, the boys were amazed too. So everybody hugged Krishna, and they took their calves. They went home and told everybody what Krishna had done that day. And you can imagine the reaction of the cowherd men. They're saying, it's so astonishing. Like, this boy, so many demons have tried to kill him. But the Lord Narayan is so merciful, he saves him every time and kills the demons instead of Krishna. So it doesn't matter how fierce and how big and huge these demons are, they're not able to kill the little boy Krishna, but they get killed himself. So it must be because these boys are so innocent that the Lord says, you can't do that. So Lord himself comes and kills and saves our Krishna. And they were also saying, Garg Muni had said there will be a lot of disturbances. Krishna's life will be in danger, so protect him very carefully. It's all coming true. So they were appreciating what Garg Muni had forecasted a long time ago. Anyway, so whole bunch of pastimes like that in their childhood. It continued for, as you know, for many years. And Krishna was playing hide and seek. They would play games like, build this bridge on the ocean. None of that exists, but make believe, or they'll start jumping up and down here and there like monkeys from branch to branch of a tree, or from a tree to another tree. All sorts of games you can imagine. They were playing and having a great time. Okay, so I'm going to pause and look for any comments or questions. You want to wait?
So one question, are these pastimes from again Gopal Champu or mix of?
So Gopal Champu is actually a chronological redoing of Canto 10. So they are from Bhagavatam. But what I was saying was that some of the details are not in Bhagavatam. Those details have taken from Gopal Champu.
And then Gopal Champu is written by Jiva Goswami?
Jiva Goswami, yes. Actually, now an English version is available. So you can, I have a Hindi version from way back, I don't know how many years. But now an English version is available, you can actually get it.
Okay, so that
It's a
English
wonderful
version,
book, by the way. It's so beautiful.
yeah, English version is done by our ISKCON devotees?
I believe
Or,
so. I don't have an
okay,
English copy, but I believe
okay,
it's ISKCON devotee. It's
okay,
available through the ISKCON publishing.
yeah, okay, Prabhu.
Okay. Anybody else?
Prabhuji, I had a question.
हाँ बेटा बोलो.
In the previous pastime of Vatsasur, like he came as a calf. So like in the previous classes, you discussed like what does it represent?
Oh yes, very good
Yeah.
question. Yes.
So like what does it represent? Like why did he come as a calf? Like
Well,
can you please explain that?
yeah. So why he comes as a calf is basically he thinks he can fool Krishna. Like simple as that. All these demons, just like people in what do you call it? People in material world. We all think we can fool Krishna in different ways. Something that we can promise Krishna, something that we don't ever intend to do. Something that we can trick Krishna into giving us something. So we are constantly trying to fool Krishna. So these demons are doing exactly the same thing, except their what do you call it? Their actions are a little more severe and extreme than our actions. We at least not trying to physically hurt Krishna, but these demons were actually with an intent to hurt Krishna. And so anyway, so Vatsasur was representing the what do you call it? The illusion, the anartha. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. The anartha of illusion, where he gives the impression of being somebody he's not. So he's saying, here I am, I'm just another calf, but my intent is something different. So the illusion is that he thinks that he can trick Krishna into believing him. Again, that's the illusion we have. But I think we should all, well, we already know, all of us know already, we cannot fool Krishna, but somehow or the other, it doesn't stop us from trying to fool Krishna. Just like it doesn't stop us from trying to brag in front of Krishna. Look what I have accomplished. Look all that I have. And you know what, Krishna, if I'm in a good mood, I'll give you a little bit also. Right? I have literally seen people do that. And then some people say, you know what, I'm angry, so I'll withhold my donation. As if Krishna is dependent upon their donation. But you see this so often. We start thinking that what Krishna has given us is actually because we deserve it, because we have worked hard for it, therefore it's our property. And that just causes so many issues in our lives, spiritual and material life. So a lot of all these pastimes have a lesson. Krishna is not just doing it for the sake of doing it. Because remember, actually, maybe I should get to this point. We keep talking about Krishna killing the demons. But I want to make sure everyone of us understands that Krishna didn't kill a single demon. Does everybody realize that? Krishna never killed a demon. Who's not agreeing with me? Who's saying, well, then what did Krishna just do? You just said to yourself, Krishna killed Vatsasur. He told us before Krishna killed Putana and Shakatasura and Trinavat. So why this? Who knows the answer? Anybody?
Vishnu does.
Huh?
Lord Vishnu does it.
Okay, so explain. The answer is correct. Can you explain a little bit more?
Gana, like this.
Krishna and Vasudev farm, he kills everyone, right?
No, not true. Not true. Mahajan Prabhu's answer was correct. I just want this elaboratedly. So anyway, maybe I can explain. Krishna is known as the source of all incarnations. In Sanskrit, the word is avatari. So an incarnation is avatar. Avatari is the source of all incarnations. So if you may recall, in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 3, text 28, says, after describing the 24 incarnations of Krishna, it says, Ete chansh kalapunsam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He says, all these incarnations I've described, they are plenary portion or the plenary portion of the plenary portions of Krishna, who is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he is the source of all incarnations. Whether that's Narayan, whether that's Balaram, whether that's Vishnu, Kaunadakshay, Garbhadakshay, Kshirodakshay, doesn't matter. Or whether it's Lord Ram, Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Kurma, Lord Matsya, they're all expansions of Lord Krishna. So when Krishna appears in the material world, all these incarnations appear with him, in him. So you don't see them, but they're all there.
Yeah.
Krishna comes only for one reason. I was saying that before also in this class. His sole purpose is to enjoy the association of his pure devotees and his pastimes with them, and to give the pleasure to his pure devotees through these pastimes. That's it. There's no other reason for Krishna's appearance. When Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, or paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He's not talking about himself. That is not why Krishna appears himself. His incarnations appear because of that. That's why Krishna appears only once in the entire day of Brahma, which is 8.6 billion earth years. So therefore, when it looks like he's killing a demon or demons, it's the Vishnu in him who does the killing. Krishna is not interested. Sometimes people ask, why do we pray to Lord Nrsimhadev when Hare Krishna Mahamantra contains all the mantras, all the stutis, all the bhajans, everything is contained in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So if you're chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, why are we praying to Lord Nrsimhadev for protection? Also, we say Krishna is our Isht. Krishna is all in all. When you water the root, all the trees nourished. So if you're serving Krishna, why are we going to Lord Nrsimhadev? Right? Anybody knows the answer? So the answer is given that Krishna is busy enjoying with his devotees. Don't disturb him for your protection. He doesn't really want to be disturbed. But to protect you, he has taken his incarnation as Lord Nrsimhadev. He is just as eternal as Krishna is. So for protection, you can go to Lord Nrsimhadev. Don't bother Krishna. Because Krishna is busy enjoying. That's why we go. Otherwise, we can simply stay with Krishna. Lord Nrsimhadev will not be upset that you went to Krishna, not to me. We can do that. But the scriptures are telling us, don't go to Krishna for anything. Just do what pleases him. Surrender to him completely. serve him, engage all your senses in serving him, in pleasing him. The only goal of our life should be to please Krishna. So that's why we do that. Okay. So we started with one question, I think spanned to many, but hopefully that was helpful.
It was very good.
Yes, yes.
It was very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any other questions, comments?
The narrations were very good today.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu.
Heart touching.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, how are you?
I'm good, Prabhuji. Thank you. Prabhuji, I have a question. Like you said, we should never approach Krishna. Like we should never pray to him for help. Like, is it like we should never pray to Krishna for anything? Like we shouldn't pray for Radha Kirtan Gopina or Shishi Radha Madhav. Is it so?
Well, the fact is that none of us is pure. None of us is desire free. None of us is totally unafraid. None of us has so much faith that we can simply depend on Krishna. Let's face it. That's one point. The second point is that Krishna is our mother, Krishna is our father, Krishna is our grandfather, Krishna is our protector, Krishna is our everything. So if I can't go to my father or my mother for something I want, who can I go to? If I can't go to my father for protection, who can I go to? So the answer to your question may sound like contradicting the answer I just gave before, which is go to Krishna. Go to Krishna when you need something. Go to Krishna when you are afraid. Go to Krishna when you want something. Go to Krishna when you're very happy, you just want to share it. Go to Krishna when you feel like crying and need somebody's shoulder. Go to Krishna. So there's a serious contradiction in the two statements I made in the last 5 minutes. So let me hopefully reconcile so there's no confusion. The answer that I was giving to the first question was the ideal situation to describe why Srila Prabhupada said, pray to Lord Nrsimhadev for protection. And he was talking about when he was sick himself. He was saying that go to Lord Nrsimhadev. So now coming from a pure platform, his mood was, let's not bother Lord Krishna. Let's go to Lord Nrsimhadev, who's non-different from Krishna, by the way. It's not that he's different. Non-different, but he appears for the sole purpose of protecting his devotees. So it's all right. For us, we are forgiven either way, whether we go to Lord Nrsimhadev or Lord Krishna. So if we are more comfortable going to Lord Krishna because that's who we go to for everything, that's perfectly all right. But we should know the difference. Right? For example, when we were a little child, we didn't have any consideration like my father may not have the money, my father may not have the time, my father may have this restriction or that restriction. We just go regardless and ask for what we need or what we want. We have no other consideration, just our need. A father being the father says, it's okay. I understand, where else can you go? So we go in that mood when we go to Krishna. So therefore, yes, you can go. But if we have better understanding, even if you're not pure yet, then we can say, as Prabhupada explained, if I need protection, I'll pray to Lord Nrsimhadev. So for example, just tell you something very personal. Every time I sit in my car to go somewhere, we chant Nrsimhadev Stuti, the whole mantra. Every time we are on an airplane or whatever, we chant Lord Nrsimhadev's prayers. Of course, we are chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and all those kind of things, but we also do that. in keeping with what Srila Prabhupada advised us. So I hope that explains the apparent contradiction. If not, please somebody speak up. I said, Rupanuga didn't make any sense. Explain again. And don't be shy.
Clear, Prabhuji.
Clear as mud?
No, clear as clear water.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Okay then.
You always give the satisfactory answers, Prabhuji.
Sorry?
Your answers are always satisfactory.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Okay, in that case, Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhya.
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Bye-bye.